The Hometown Global Radio Network is on the air. Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Goetz, and welcome to our show. And here with me tonight is Kevin Bennett, our co-host. How's it going, Kevin?
Just great. How you doing?
Pretty cool. Appreciate you coming down here and bringing that music and stuff with you so we can have some good tunes, for the show. For our first ever global radio show, for those that are familiar with the internet, from our webpage now, we are broadcasting around the world, and so folks will certainly have an opportunity to check it out. Right now, we're about to play the opening of our show with a little bit of music from Kevin Bennett and some background from some of our scenes. I hope you'll stay tuned. We're pretty much dedicating this first show to communication and how it is changing in the 21st century and how people can use it in our everyday lives to be able to solve some of the problems of our society. So you want to stay tuned for that. What do you think, Kevin? You about ready to hear some music?
Yeah, I'm ready. Psyched.
Yeah, sounds cool. Stand by.
grabbing our cameras.
Michael, you want to do an interview with me? You do an interview with me.
But this is it. It's going to be the truth now. We're going to document everything that's going on. The city's been censoring our show, and they don't like what's going on. I asked to work together with the city, and they just do nothing but allow the cable company to pull us off the air every time they have a question. And that's violating our free speech, and that's wrong. Well, this is city property. It's the way I see it, and all I'm asking is no one to answer. I understand your position. Thank you very much. So now what happens?
Okay. Mike?
Yes, sir?
Take the camera, if you will, please.
Can I give my camera to my... That's all I ask.
Thomas Jefferson said that juries can make the government play by the rules of our Constitution. Like other founders of this nation, he understood that trial by jury is the final check and balance in our system. Don't be a pawn. Find out what he meant before you're on a jury and it's your move. Phone 1-800-TEL-JURY. A message from the Fully Informed Jury Association.
Of all the weapons used in the world in the last 40 years, none had more power than this one.
And we're back. Those of you that joined us late, you are here for a special night. We are, for the first time, taking the hometown around the world. I'm Michael Goetz, your host, and we're coming to you from our hometown studios in Carrollton, Texas, just north of Josie and Beltline. Tonight with me, I have a guest, a friend of mine, a guy I've known for a while, been helping out with our show and stuff, and he's also does a little music, and so I wanted to have him on the show and let him kind of help me reflect the past and get a chance to play some of his music. Kevin Bennett, how's it going, man?
Howdy, y'all. What's happening?
Pretty cool. Hey, so for those folks that don't know us, we obviously, as I said, are here in Carrollton, Texas, and we've been doing a public access TV show now for a lot of years, since 1992, I think. And we've been through a lot of problems, a lot of hassles. The videotape, or actually only audio over on the Global Radio. The audio tape that you just heard is from videotape of our show opener, You on TV, The Hometown. And there's a lot of things in there that just really have, motivated me to try to get out and teach people how to communicate. Because I see a lot of problems that go on in our world that I know can be better and change for the better if we had the opportunity to work together with government and local schools and charities and the average person, getting involved. So, that's my 2 cents, Kevin. I know you've been through a lot of it, Let everybody kind of hear from you, let everybody know who you are and what's been going on.
Well, I've been working on this hometown show for a while, doing my music, and like, for example, a couple days ago here, we went down and tried to sign our show up and, the hometown, and at Marcus Cable, and the guy at the front counter just told us, we don't do public access anymore, something like that. So it wasn't any good, but fortunately I knew my rights, so I just told him that, you really are supposed to be providing this according to franchise agreement.
And that's really what's the story with us, for all these years here in Carrollton and North Dallas area, it's been a major struggle for us to try to exercise our free speech on this channel called Public Access TV, which in America is required by the FCC that the cable companies, if the city makes them, has, to provide these local channels. So, for years we've been fighting TCI Cable primarily. I mean, they seem to be the worst, and a few others. Heron Cable is really good. That's our cable system we use 4 times a day, 7 days a week. And now we're going to the internet. So it's an amazing time, and we really believe in this idea of public access, communication, allowing people to communicate. And we have a lot of specific things that we'll probably get into throughout this show, and some ideas about how to use this technology to make life better for all of us. And I think what Kevin is going through in Denton, where he lives, is just an example of the kind of the establishment and mentality of not allowing free speech. And television is powerful, and they don't want to allow it. So, what are you going to do about that, Kevin? I mean, how's that going to work out?
Well, I lodged a complaint with them, with their executive director, I think it is. And, of course, Eddie Burns, he's the production assistant. He's getting back with me. But, you know, as of yet, they're just not going to play the show, and they haven't given me any airtime, and they've had the tape in their possession for several days. So I'm just getting back with them, trying to get them to give me a date, but in their words, they're previewing the show. You know, they want to know what's in it, you know, and they want to know if it meets their standards so they can play the show.
Yeah, which
and
is, of course,
think that's right,
illegal,
you know?
right? I mean, these are all our opinions and stuff, but the idea that we've been saying all along is, you know, the FCC Cable Act, there are some laws in effect in America that allow people to use cable television to be able to exercise their free speech. And here in Carrollton, it just seems like TCI Cable is just terrible at trying to provide these channels that are supposedly provided to us. And our city government is just really not much able to do anything about it, or not willing or something. And it happens everywhere, Denton and Dallas, Carrollton, around this area. And I think it's consistent throughout the nation. I haven't really heard from around the world, since this is our first global TV radio show. It'll be pretty interesting to hear back.
And, of course, the first thing we did, you know, was run right to City Hall. I mean, you were with me that day. And just, you know, tried to talk to our city manager, Ted Benavides, up there in Denton. And he was there, but unable to talk to us at the time. So we set an appointment, so that's coming up here next Thursday.
How many times have you been through that, though, right?
Ooh, seems like a lot. You know,
Yeah.
It seems like no matter what, there's some reason that you can't talk to your city manager. I mean, he's just too busy, you know, but...
So bottom line, folks, is, you know, we're taking this time to try to come to you, to teach you about, you know, communication, how to communicate. And tonight we're going to also have a little bit of Kevin's music. I understand you got some tunes we haven't used on the show before. What are you going to be playing for us?
I got a whole lot of stuff. Some music from one of my bands, Seeing Voices, and there's a tune called Love Crimes, Bad Stuff. Those are going to be the first two we're going to hear coming up. And it's a little bit of my electro synth music is what I call it. And I've got some interesting stuff on there. Candelabra Dream.
Yeah.
And Sudan, one of my favorites.
Yeah, I wonder though. You know, for those folks that have seen our show, The Hometown, on cable, whenever, we're not being censored by TCI. You know, you've heard probably a lot of the music we've run. We're really big on trying to give people a chance to be heard, you know, to use this power of communications. And, you know, music is a great form, medium. It's a wonderful thing for a lot of people. And a lot of people say, you know, it works, you know, for the heart and stuff, you know, kind of makes life a little easier. But you don't often get to hear most people. And luckily, we have Kevin Bennett, a friend of mine, that has been, you know, creating these tunes for our show. So,
unfortunately, we have the internet, so we can get it out to the world.
This is your first time to be able to broadcast globally with your music, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's you can pull up my webpage, of course, and
that's right,
get sound bites, you know. We've had those on for a while.
And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later, and going into the technology and how we can use it to change our lives. That's just one example. So, right now, what do you say, Kevin? You spin us a little bit of the music we ain't heard yet.
Sounds good.
What's it called?
Love Crimes is the first tune, and then Bad Stuff.
All right. Stand by.
Chances on is looking like room.
Goetz. You've been listening to Seeing Voices with Kevin Bennett, and I guess Ross Wilson was doing the harmonica. Was it Kevin or what?
Right.
Yeah. We're actually going to use that particular song in our upcoming show, The Government Survey, where, of course, you know me, I was out protesting in front of City Hall with a big old sign that says "City is corrupt," and we're going to kind of mix that together and show people kind of what's been going on.
That's going to be funny. Can't wait.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, in a lot of ways, it's really a drag, you know. I mean, certainly, and those folks that are watching or listening right now, I want you to know, if you've watched my show before and you've seen what's been going on, it is really not anything that we want in life. We don't want stress and hassles and problems, even though the city has seemed to have given me a hell of a lot of ammunition to be able to make them look kind of foolish. But in general, I think it's a time for folks to come together and solve some of these problems and do the right thing. And as I said before, we've got a real platform, a real plan, if you were, to figure out how to use communications to raise funds, to be able to take care of some of our needs in our community at a local level rather than a federal government involvement, and see if we can't turn things around. And
just as a way for people to put their heads together and solve problems and come up with new designs and ideas.
Well, they say, you know, communication, or a level of communication, is what separates us from the animals, and certainly from Ross. But the idea is it's the cornerstone of solving almost any problem that we come up against, you know, everything from crime to unemployment. And I think that it's one that the government for a long time has been more motivated to suppress rather than to allow happen. And unfortunately, you know, that leads to situations like ours, and where people get, you know, run the ground, censored, and in our case with my family, you know, trying to keep the hometown on the air and fighting TCI, it's just, you know, killing us. But you know, that's just the way they see it, and I guess that's how they kind of do their thing and do business, and it's kind of a money over people mentality. But you know, I see things changing. You know, it could definitely change. There's a lot of good things on the horizon, but we'll see. But in general, we want everybody to, you know, think about these concepts that we're talking about. Understand that communications is powerful. This idea that we seem to always talk about more than anyone, of public access communication, that anybody can be heard. You know, it kind of reminds me of the Star Trek stuff, you know, and everybody's got those little, what I call PCDs, you know, on their chest, and personal communication devices. And you can maybe someday be able to talk to anybody around the world, just a Social Security number and a PIN number, and they can be reached or put on voicemail or whatever they want to do, or your web page or something.
That's the way it'll be once your cell phone is plugged into the web, you know, then you'll have just roaming video phone. You know?
So you were talking earlier about y'all's web pages, and you got some music on that now. What's that like?
Right, it's working out pretty good. You know, my page, I don't have any sound bites, but it'll link you to the page, the Seeing Voices page.
Right.
And my page is let me start over.
Oh, good luck on this webpage.
Yeah, really. See if we can make it. http://ourworld, and that's OURWRLD.CompuServe.com/homepages/_Kev. And just that K is capitalized, so you got to watch out for that.
And we're not talking about write out the word underscore. You said underscore is like...
Right.
Okay.
It's an underscore. It's the minus sign, but you hit the shift, you know.
And you got to have a capital on the Kev?
Yep, that's the only capital in the whole thing. So I know it's kind of long, you know, but I got it through CompuServe, so it's
well, let's
working out.
hope people are recording this show so they can play that back.
Yeah, I wish I could have got something simple like kev.com, you know,
right.
Kev1.
Well, of course, you know, our webpage for the show is, you know, you got to always have that at http:// and then www.on-tv.com/hometown. So that's a little bit easier to understand, you know. And for those folks that are trying to understand what the heck we are talking about, you know, let's go into that, you know. In y'all's case with Seeing Voices, you've got a web page on the internet where you have samples of your music, right?
Exactly.
Right, and so anybody around the world that could memorize that webpage could come to it and be able to listen, download, and sample some of your music.
Our hit counter's looking pretty good. We got like 800, getting close to it. I haven't checked it in a while, but it's not quite as good as the hometown. You're getting up there in the 1,200 range.
Right.
It's pretty impressive, you know.
Well, you know, that's, you know, the public access version of our show that goes on public access TV. You know, it's on 4 times a day, 7 days a week in Carrollton on Heron Cable, Channel 25. Some great people there, Charlie down there, those guys that take care of our show. They do their job, they do it well. And unfortunately, you know, the story is old, but it is still true. You know, we've just been fighting cats and dogs with TCI and just trying to, we've lost over 90% of our airtime since we began calling for a boycott of TCI cable. And I know, of course, nobody likes if you're a TCI cable, they don't want to hear this, but I still say in America that, you know, we have the First Amendment, and there's a federal statute that says cable company can exercise editorial control over public access TV. And in this case, rather than try to deal with the problem and do the right thing, they've just decided to try to censor my show and run me out of town, discredit my name, and all these things. So this is some of the motivation to why folks we're out here right now and trying to talk and trying to communicate with you. We have been through hell just trying to communicate in my hometown of Carrollton. Whether it be Kevin and his music trying to be heard, or whether it be me running for city council and mayor and trying to talk about some of the problems of our community. It's real sometimes hell to be able to discuss or openly be able to communicate, especially if you can't afford a phone, which is just an amazing event. If you don't even have 911, you could die right in the middle of your own hometown.
Well, City Hall seems to be a brick wall.
Right. And what is up with that? Now, again, 5 years we've been fighting TCI, and we have documented evidence out the yin-yang talking about how they seem to either be not doing their job, not able to, or not want to. And although it's required, you know, they're not. And it just seems like City Hall is either totally incapable or completely unwilling to do anything to help people, to protect their rights, to make a difference in people's lives. There's just this big icon up there that we send all our tax dollars to, and they don't do anything.
I mean, whatever happened to the day when there was one sheriff, you know, and he would, if there was a problem, he'd be out there and solve it, you know. I mean, that was his town. He was responsible. Life
was more personable and everybody says in the old days, no matter what generation you're from. Generally, as the population grows, we become more segmented, and we end up, you know, basically alone in the middle of 1 million people. It's pretty weird. Right. Most people don't really know their neighbor, and they say that your neighborhood ends when you meet the first stranger. Well, if you never get out of your living room, you got a small world, you know. And these kind of isolation problems, I think, have really contributed to, like, crime and different types of problems. I can tell you, when I was in the military, when we went TDY, and you were in a town where nobody knew you, it was kind of a natural impulse to let your hair down, and you might go out and have a drink where you wouldn't normally or whatever, go chase women or whatever the case may be. But generally, if you're in your hometown where you grew up, people know you, it just has a natural kind of restraining factor that kind of, you know, people would know what, and so it's not like it makes you be somebody you're not, it just kind of keeps you in check. And without having people know their neighbor, without people being associated and feeling like they're part of a community, having some kind of obligation to it and responsibility, these elements are all lost. And I think communication is a way we can overcome that. We have to figure out ways to be able to help people communicate, know what's going on in their hometown, promote our charities, our schools, raise funds with a municipally owned fiber optic network that could end up making sure our citizens are taken care of without having to worry about the federal grant money and all that all the time. So, you've been through it, I know. But for all these folks out here, that are listening, I just say to them, understand you got the right to be on television. Understand that the internet is there. Understand that if you want to communicate, you have that chance. And we're going to try to teach you as much as we can as we go along. So now tell me a little bit, about your music, Kevin. I know you've been doing stuff for the show for a while, and those other tunes we were listening to then. I think we're going to have some more coming up later then, I guess, huh?
Right. Well, this is, we recorded this right here in Carrollton at Fat Tracks. Our buddy Mitch out there, he's a sound wizard, and it worked out pretty good. We got 5 tracks done out there. So Ross Wilson is on bass, and the band's called Seeing Voices. I don't know if I mentioned that. And we got Dave Wilhelm on the drums. Crazy Dave. He's just awesome. So Ross is a strong writing force in the band. He's real prolific. So
what made y'all get into the webpage thing? Do you see that like the future of music, or how's that work, and what the hell is the difference about it?
Oh, definitely. A webpage will eventually be like your own TV show. So we see that as something to put our energy into. As a way to be seen. That's a way we can just get a lot of people, in one, it's incredible, worldwide, and just the thought of that. Now, the only thing remaining is to just advertise it, and people need, to make people aware of how to find it, and then they can log on.
Yeah, right.
And then eventually we hope to, sell records like anybody else would.
Yeah.
But for now, it's free. You can download a soundbite, but, our hope is that people will enjoy the music enough to want to support us,
Right. Well, that's the idea. If you're a musician and you didn't make it with MTV, you probably never make it, even though you may have great music. But nowadays, a musician can, or a poet, or just a business, or just anybody at all, can have a web page on the internet. And it costs you a few dollars, to call up an internet service provider. The average might be $20 a month or something like that, and you need a computer and things like that. But after that, you can pretty much talk around the world. Text and now multimedia, audio, video stuff starting to be transferred that you're still paying top dollar on just to talk on the telephone. Get on your computer and send video and audio files around the world at $20 flat rate a month. That's just an amazing time to be alive.
And it's great to just be able to direct somebody to your webpage, and they can just learn all about you rather than, have to guess. And,
just put it on their card, and people like a business, hardware store or something can have a whole catalog on their webpage where people can surf there and buy from around the world and order it. It's just an amazing time to be alive. The opportunities are endless. But what brings me always back is the city of Carrollton, my hometown, where I live in a town of almost 90-something thousand people, almost 100,000 people, and we have a weekly newspaper. And that weekly newspaper is actually covering 3 towns. So it's like you might have a couple of articles, you can know more about what goes on in Bosnia than you can in Carrollton, Texas, your own hometown.
Right.
And it's just so unfortunate that our government traditionally is not able or not willing to try to cultivate, this communications revolution that's going on. Now, the federal level did. Al Gore and President Clinton, those guys, I guess they kind of kicked this thing off. But when it comes down to Carrollton, Texas, and Mayor Gravely, man I've known since I was a kid, pretty much family founded the town. I have respect for him, but it's just a matter of, his idea of high tech is I have 7 numbers. You can call me anytime. I'm like, well, a phone was high tech maybe 100 years ago, but right now you got to have a web page, you got to have email, you got to understand mobile communications, you got to understand mass media law, and you got to know how to communicate, and you'll be left behind. And unfortunately, my city is being left behind. I guess that's why I chose to run for city council again, and I'm going to press on with that. But I think, where did you come from originally yourself?
Well, Austin is where I hail from, Austin, Texas, but I've been here in the Denton and Dallas area for about 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Austin's great, for those folks around here, you might know it, but around the world, and we want to say hello to those folks around the world listening to us on the World Wide Web for our first ever global radio show. I want to say hello to some of my friends over in Munich, Germany, the Erding Bulls, a football team that I coached and played for. Hans and those guys, hello to them. Some friends of mine in Amsterdam, another football team there. in Norway. I want to say hello to those folks up there, and I think that's pretty much my areas of saying hello to everybody, but it's just an amazing opportunity to be heard around the world, and the technology is finally really coming around and happening.
Can you imagine? I mean, Eskimos are listening to us right now.
Yeah. They have to basically have a computer and be able to
dial up to it.
Yeah, really. And dial up a phone line to a local ISP server computer, and it has, normally that's where you hook up to the internet, and it's just unbelievable. So we want to say hello to those folks. Right now, we could probably spin some more music. What do you think?
Sounds good.
What do we got coming up next?
Next we have, let's see, one song or two songs?
Let's go.
What are you in the mood for?
Let's just hear it one at a time, and then we can kind of get on with, there's some important stuff that we're talking about here tonight, those, again, that joined us late.
Right.
With the problems that I've had with my city government here in Carrollton and big business, some big businesses, and TCI and my situation, it has taught me a lot about communication. Of course, the 10 years I spent in the military and that kind of stuff as well. But in this case, we wanted to come on the show and talk about and teach folks some of the things we have learned and how to actually use this technology to make life better. And then in between, we're going to be listening to a little bit of music by Kevin Bennett, a buddy of mine that does music for our show. And what was the name of this one you said?
This is Laying Back.
Yeah, cool.
And it's by Ross Wilson.
Yeah, great. All right, then, stay tuned. This is Michael Goetz, executive producer of The Hometown. You're listening to our first global radio show in which it will be played on Heron Cable, Channel 25, 4 times a day, 7 days a week in Carrollton. And it will also be delivered to our ISP, our internet provider, DFW Multimedia, and they will have it available on our webpage where people can basically listen to it and make comments and emails or call us or whatever. So it's pretty.
What's interesting about this show is it's not only going to be, of course, internet broadcast, but it's going to be on public access television, but it's actually going to be radio television with nothing but a character generator, of course. And
I know those folks that are watching it on TV are going, hey, all I see is a black screen with the Hometown Global Radio on it. What is up with this? And but the idea is that the internet technology has changed, but it is still not quite good enough for real effective video transfer. Most people don't have computers fast enough, although everybody seems to be upgrading quickly. And so we took the concept of the radio being the only way to go, and that way most people with a computer can pick us up on our webpage, even as low as maybe a 386 with 8 meg, just depending on how good a one you have. But traditionally you need at least 486, 14.4 modem, and 4 to 8 meg. You could be able to pick us up pretty easy, and that's pretty cool. So stay tuned, folks. We want to also give you our phone number in case you wanted to give us a call. It's area code 214-913-1562. If you're calling from outside the United States, you'll have to be giving us that old country code. And if you're inside the United States, give us a call and let us know what you think. If you want to be on TV, the radio, if you just want some free information, about how to communicate in the 21st century. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Cool. All right now we're going to play some music. We'll be back in a moment.
looking back, waiting for tomorrow. No reason around here to worry, no. The picture's already hanging on the wall.
And we're back. If you joined us late, this is Michael Goetz. You're watching our first ever Hometown Global Radio. The concept is kind of new. We are trying to basically condense the show into an audio-only version so we can put it on both television and the internet. And with me right here is Kevin Bennett. We were just listening to some of the music, I guess, that you're involved with Seeing Voices, you know. How long has that band been together?
Oh, about 2 years now.
Yeah, you guys, you know, got a pretty cool sound. You know, I'm always trying to push you to get as original as possible. You don't see much original stuff no more. And I know I've helped load in and out the band a few times, so I think it's a cool band. So what's on the horizon for you guys?
Well, we're looking at just finishing this CD, you know, and getting on the internet and all that, and getting some exposure, and hopefully start to get some sales happening. But you know, then we want to get on the club circuit here and start getting some tours. So once we get a manager.
We were talking earlier about your webpage and the fact that you guys got some sound bites on there now, and you know, can be heard around the world, downloaded. So eventually, do you figure you're going to start trying to you know, sell it directly and distribute and market and everything through the internet? Is that the idea? Or what?
Yeah, that'd be great. You know, it'd be nice if they could just, you know, enter their card right there on the web, you know, their credit card, or just go ahead and buy it that way.
Because that is the biggest holdup right now for most people buying on the internet, is that whatever the topic is, it's just the idea that you transfer your numbers and people can accept. So there's still some encryption and technology that's out there that needs to change to make all that a lot better before it really takes off. But yeah, for a musician, I really see that the future is you can make your own product, you can put it on the internet, you can distribute it. It's not like you got to buy a bunch of more CDs and stuff and send them out through the postage or whatever. See, that's the same thing we have with our show, you know. We have people all the time calling us for copies of the show. Our goal is now, and if you haven't heard, we're taking the show to the internet. You're watching the Hometown Radio, no kidding. You're watching the Hometown Radio right now, but we're going to be having the Hometown completely video and everything soon on our webpage. So you want to stay tuned for that. And that's just a great way for an artist to be able to distribute their work and be heard and seen. And it's just new technology that not most people have thought of, you know, or worked out yet. Same with City Hall. Seems like every time we talk, it always seems to come back to that, but I guess it's true. You know, I think one of the council members once told me that, you know, if people can understand that your local government affects your life more than just about anything, everything from your rates on your taxes to where the traffic lights will be and whether you can smoke or drink or whatever, you know. And most people just don't know what's going on at City Hall, don't pay attention, don't get time to, you know, got family and all that going on. True. And we found that, unfortunately, even good people sometimes can, you know, end up doing things that may not be in the interest of everyone in the town. In fact, there's a lot of people in government just kind of see it that way. Their only, you know, I guess you would say loyalty is to those folks that were able to get them in office, whether it's money or whatever. And I don't have no problem really with special interest groups, but when they're the only ones that get heard, that's kind of a drag when it should be everybody, you know. And I think those times are coming.
Exactly.
You know, you were one of the first folks that got me thinking about that direct democracy idea. I know you used to talk about it years ago.
Right.
And
it seems like an interesting concept, you know. I mean, when I first saw, you know, on C-SPAN and they show Congress there, you know, deciding on a bill or whatever, and it just really comes down to a count, you know, yay or nay. So why not just plug us in? Since we're all plugged into the internet, we have this great communications network. I mean, even people that don't have a computer yet, they can just, you know, over their phone, just punch in their vote. That's what I think. On just about any issue, you know, even congressional bills and everything else. Or
they could go to public access internet sites, which we've been experimenting with, and we're going to be doing a little bit more with DFW Multimedia as the sponsor of that, giving out some computers in different public places, like the library and stuff, where people that don't have a computer and don't want to spend all that money, can't, whatever, can go out to the library and do their work and get research, be heard, and that kind of thing, you know. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to it, no doubt. See, what does the rest of the music sound like tonight? What do we got going later?
Oh, we got some interesting eclectic music, electro synth. I'm sorry, that's what I call it, but it is eclectic. I mean, that's the style basically. That just means a fusion of many styles. But it's like new age. Some of it. This one particular piece is Candelabra Dream, and that's also we're going to use it on the next hometown show. Our government survey. It's going to be the opener. It looks like. And I have another tune called Groovy, which features Preston Hunt, and he's one of the best drummers around. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and Preston's got some really interesting ideas too. He's a pretty interesting guy, and maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later down the line. But there's some people that say, folks, that human beings have a lot more inside them, a lot more capability than we are currently using, and that as we evolve and maybe end up using the other 90% of our brain that most people don't use as an average. There might be, some great times in the horizon, and I think it all does come around to communication still. I keep, harping on that, but bottom line is that it's going to be an interesting life in just a few, maybe decades from now, and it will be one that most people can't hardly even recognize now if we were to think about it. We just kind of dream about what it could be like, but there's certainly big changes, and direct democracy is one that may be a good thing. And generally, this comes right back again to the government, where there has never been a time in history in which so many people's voices can be heard. I mean, I've said that before, and it's true. And from here on out, it's possible, even feasible, with technology, to start making rules and ordinances and laws based on a real majority rule. We have the technology for Nielsen ratings. Why can't we apply that to how many people actually wanted smoking or drinking in their town, or any of the million other issues that people usually deal with at a local, state, and even larger level? I see that coming, and I don't see it, though, unfortunately, at many of the politicians that are currently in office. They fear the masses. They fear the control of the masses. If we had a real democracy in general, is the way I've always understood it.
And ultimately, it just seems like the government can vote whatever way they want to. Really, it doesn't matter what the people really want. Even if there's an overwhelming opinion out there, they really have the rule. We don't have the power, but.
Yeah, it's called representative democracy. Yeah. Basically, whenever you elect a representative, a city council member, for instance, at City Hall, to sit up there and vote as one of the other members to make decisions on whether or not we have certain local ordinances or laws.
I could see representative democracy really worked, back in the days of Pony Express.
Right, yeah.
Of course, now we've got a little faster, we've got supercomputers.
Right, yeah.
And of course, the IRS and everybody else, they can keep track of every man, woman, and child in the country in the census.
Yeah.
So, we should be able to make some kind of voting system. I think we should start locally first, of course, vote on your local issues and your council members right from home, Because web pages can do that. They can keep track of how many people log on. And, they can match it with your Social Security number. It's interesting.
Right. The technology is there for direct voting, for real democracy, there's no doubt. It's just there has always been a resistance to change. It does come, but it comes slowly. And in our case, the technology has kind of led us in a lot of ways. And our governments and folks in general quite often haven't quite grasped how to use it and see what we can do with it. Now, I have an idea. Now, this is one that really originally came up after I started raising heck here in Carrollton, and Shirley Tarpley, a council member then, put together a report and a committee about the concept and the possibility of having a municipally owned fiber optic network. Now, I'm big into public access, and I read that, and it set me on that course of thinking, and I've come across with a similar conclusion that there are possibilities of raising funds, there are possibilities of establishing grassroots networks to promote our charities and schools. There are real possibilities if we look at our communications a little different. Right now in Carrollton, for instance, the cable companies, there are two of them here, TCI and Heron Cable. They both have to pay a franchise tax to the city, and the city allows them to do business here. And then they, as a company, go out and lay in thousands of dollars worth of cable lines and hardware and all that to all the houses they can, and hope that they can get a return on their investment.
The cable company is the grantee franchise agreement.
And it turns out, see, that small cable companies can't normally compete. And when people live in a house or a place, they don't always have the opportunity to pick from different cable companies. You just take what you can. And these people are creating a lot of wealth and taking it out of our communities. And TCI, they're from Denver, Colorado, John Malone up there in top. And I don't know exactly their money structure, how it works, but I mean the concept of them being able to charge us and taking that wealth away. I mean, if we want to talk sheer economics here, which everybody accuses me of not wanting to do, I'm thinking we can do this differently. And how about this? Ms. Tarpley's committee suggested that it would be feasible to hook up all the buildings in the town on a kind of a local area network of land. And you would be able to walk into any building and hook into a receptacle that looks something like a phone line and see some free TV, basically web TV kind of stuff, where everybody gets a web page, but you would be able to see your local schools, charities, sports. You would be able to see your local government. You would be able to see your local TV stations, the free TV that's there. And if you chose to, you would be able to use video phone between anybody in the town. If they wanted to just talk or send text or video, all of that capability, anybody, any of our citizens, and that would be free. And we would pay for this by raising funds from cable companies that normally would have to lay out a lot of money to come in here just to lay out all the cables to hope that they can do business here. They would come in and pay a fee to basically rent the space on the channel. And so you as a consumer, a citizen sitting at home, you've got everything available to you, everything from your kids at the school and what's going on with the PTA to the latest City Hall and what's being voted on next to what's happening down the street. If there was a crime watch and there's a lot of race in your area and you don't even know about it, just all kinds of unlimited information that, of course, you have to use, but you have to want to, but it would be there. And that would establish a real grassroots network of communication. And if we ran it by a nonprofit organization, I formed the Metro Television Network a few years back for this, but it seems like me and the city's been fighting so much we can't do anything. But if we ran it by a nonprofit organization, we would be generating millions of dollars of revenue to pay back the 50-something million it took to lay the thing in, and still have money left over to be able to take care of our citizens. Right now in Carrollton, Texas, my hometown, there's no homeless shelter here. That's almost by design more than error, but there's no homeless shelter here, and anybody can go poor. Anybody can get sick, anybody can have a bad business deal, anybody can just things didn't go right for whatever reason. In my case, you come up against City Hall and end up losing them, run you out of town, trying to anyway. And it can happen to any of us. So it seems like we need to set up a way to provide our citizens with the basics of life. And I see it in four kind of elements. You got to have roof over your head, some food on the table. You got to have an education and a chance to go to the hospital. And if you get all those things and you find a way to provide it to all the citizens and make sure it's there without using tax money, this is amazing. And that fiber optic network, if we looked at it like a road system, like the city lays in roads, well, this is going to be city, they'll lay in roads where people can surf here locally for free, but then other folks that want to provide services to us would pay extra, and they would be able to pay for those roads. And it still benefits all the cable companies. We could have an unlimited amount of cable companies and channels and all that. You could pick any channel you want that was out there, It would be an amazing thing.
More cable companies can move in. I mean, that would be an even playing field. It would be great.
Right. And that's the way it should be when it comes to, like, cable and stuff. They got a monopoly. I mean, even good cable companies, know it. But generally, if you could come in and sit down and pick from a list and take any dang channel that's available, no matter what cable company it came from, and then their service and their job, I mean, how they did it was how they got business, not because they were able to put in the cable in your neighborhood first, and now the other cable companies are afraid to because they ain't going to get big enough investment return, and it just turns into a whole prostitution thing. And I think if we take the money out of it and we start looking at communication as a tool to solve our problems, and this mass media revolution of communication that's going on, it's just so many opportunities. It just drives me nuts to see my city hall, be kind of in the dark ages and unwilling to look ahead. And that's why we're doing this show, and that's why we're trying to talk to people around the world on the webpage to teach them what we're doing here and going through and what we've learned and see how they can do on their end. I'm talking nonviolent, folks. I'm talking ways to change our community, make life better, generate the right resources for the right components of our life to open the door for folks to follow their dreams, and then maybe as a society we can evolve. Maybe we can start looking at bigger issues than just trying to keep a roof, paying the bills, and keeping the cable on and stuff like that.
Well, if you can get that council spot, I think that'll help.
Yeah, for those that didn't know, I am running for Carrollton City Council again. It's my second time. I've also ran for mayor twice. I think, except for tying one time, I've come in last in every election, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah,
I tied with Santa Claus once, but lost to him next time. But, people wonder about that. Why? Why do you do that? Why do you run, and I certainly don't seem to have the couple of thousand votes out of the 90,000 people that are here, that spoke, their support. But I think, bottom line is our democracy is a good form of government. It works pretty good whenever people contribute and be a part of it. And I felt like I had some good ideas that could make a difference in our community. And I knew that running for office will allow me to exercise those ideas. And even if I didn't win, I could allow people to hear them. And those folks that would win would certainly have some influence after they just had to debate me on it on TV and stuff. So I've always felt like, as a public servant in 10 years in the military, that it's just my nature. That's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to kind of do those things that we got to have somebody doing that right now don't seem like they're doing right.
I mean, it's just amazing that only 3,000 people vote out of 90,000. I mean,
yeah, when the newspaper called me for my concession speech or whatever, my really opinion is in my mind thinking, hey, I'm not. I know that there's still 90-something thousand people out there that we didn't hear from yet. I'd like to know who they thought they wanted as mayor, and instead of just the 2,000 or 3,000 that did vote, and we'll see. And that's what we're talking about, bringing about this technology. That is the issue, and using this municipally owned fiber optic network here locally. We could fund it with government grants from federal grants. I mean, that is something I think we should be having that opportunity from our federal government to help us in times when we think we definitely need help. And that's in communications in this town is terrible. And most people, and did you even know that you put up if a lost dog or a garage sale sign on that's a misdemeanor? I mean, you can go to jail for that, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if you do it persistently or something. And, and I've actually had my truck almost confiscated for having a sign in the back that said Goetz for Council, that my wife and I made. And they wouldn't even allow it to be in my parking lot. I had to drive it out of town and stuff, or they were going to take it. And I was like, this is obscene. I mean, I live in Carrollton. I can't even put a sign out and without going to jail.
It just seems like over and over again the government doesn't want people communicating very well. I mean, unless it's them. I mean,
right.
They just want you to hear things their way, basically.
And why do you think that is?
Well, it's the base of their power structure, I guess. I mean, information is powerful, I mean, whoever controls that information,
I told this story before, and I'll say it again. In the military, I learned they taught us communication. I mean, you do not go into battle and not have a control of communication. Your whole game plan is control communication. Keep them from communicating. You know what's going on, and you be able to do what you need to do. If you had 100 men and you wanted to go into a town and take the city, you could slip in quietly, take out the phone lines, TV, radio, and go to the city hall and basically take the city. Now, if you had that same 100 men and you showed up and you decided not to worry about TV, radio, and phone lines, and let's say somebody saw you and they got on the phone and called TV station, put it on local and said, hey, there's some people invading our community and we need to do something about it. So come out into your streets and fight for your community. And they would come out and beat you. You could not survive in that. So you have to control communication. And so the government as a whole has always had a traditional, even through history, a traditional need to be able to control communication. And not always in a bad thing. I'm not just saying it's bad. I mean, it has gotten us to this point. The world ain't that bad. At least, you have some free speech in America still. But generally, there are still a lot of problems. And I keep thinking, this issue of free speech is like a gauge. It tells you, if you live in a place where you can't speak freely, something's wrong. Because generally you would think that they would just fix the problems rather than trying to shut up the people talking about them. And our government is just screwed right now. It's just unfortunate, but there are some nonviolent ways to come together and communicate and use public access TV and the internet to be able to decide what are the issues and what are the answers and how we're going to solve our problems, instead of just waiting for Uncle Sam to send us that welfare check and get on with our life. It's just changing times.
I mean, it just makes you wonder, we have the word democracy put in our face, ever since we're 2 years old, over and over again. But I mean, how close to democracy are we when there's a handful of people, maybe 500 to 1,000 or whatever, who knows what's behind the scenes, but actually making the real decisions, making the votes and making the laws and everything.
Well, that's the concept that I think a lot of people are aware of. There is, in my opinion, a great hoax in America, and it's called democracy. It is an issue in which, if the masses, television is kind of like opium for the masses that makes this work, but if the masses, really, really understood all the things that were going on, I don't think they would be quite as happy with life. But as Mayor Gravely once said to me, you have to understand that as long as people have water and the basic needs are met, you're not going to hear from them. And it's unfortunate that we as a people are that way, and that especially in America, maybe around the world, certainly in different people sometimes don't have shoes or feet, much less, new Nikes, but generally we have a lot and we do the least, and we just kind of go through our life punching that clock, trying not to rock the boat, hoping things work out in the end. And I think in my mind, it's a major downfall for our society. It's a major downfall for humanity that if anybody fails to be who they are, to follow their dreams, whether it's a musician, a poet, a scientist, the Slurpee machine guy, the bread maker, the candlestick maker, on down the line, that people within them are born with that kind of drive, and if you allow them and give them an environment to be able to focus on that, then you have an opportunity for a society in which people are healthy, happy, driven, motivated, have the needs of society, the basic needs of food and shelter met, with just a smoke and mirrors games of numbers and dollars. It's a shame that stops us from what we do. We print money and then we become a slave to it. That's amazing to me that God's wisest animals end up in that position.
Yeah.
So, I hope that everybody will continue listening, and we're coming up in our second hour of the show. If you're watching up in Denton, you won't be seeing this part. And they're cutting this off, I think, on a half hour? How much airtime would they even give you?
Well, they started off at a half hour, but they're talking about moving up to an hour.
See, this is Kevin, right? He does the music in the show. We're talking. He's always on. And then he can't even play this in his own hometown on public access TV, although it's kind of required by law, and they just kind of seem to be providing it, but don't really. And I've been through it here in Carrollton, like everybody knows. And, of course, Kevin, we have done things in Carrollton. I tell you what, when I first, started this little bit of a crusade in 92 to help people communicate here, things are different. And now,
the channel was dead, basically.
Yeah,
the studio was down. And
not just public access TV, but everything from the big flag or the poles in the middle of the streets with flags on them and stuff, telling me about events in Old Carrollton and stuff, to the public access channel going. The concept in government now, they're working on their own webpage, our local city government. I hope someday going to have email. I mean, basically, they have moved down that road, and the struggle that everybody seemed to have heard of but not really understood here in Carrollton about my show being censored by TCI and that, the hometown, they're starting to look and go, well, you know what, that's right. TV's a powerful tool, and they're supposed to be giving us, and we're just standing up for our rights, and our government just don't seem to be able to do much to help us, and it just seems like something has changed. So I think everybody should need to get registered to vote. I think that everybody needs to get involved with their community, know what's going on around them, read your newspapers, check out the internet, watch shows like ours, and go out and say hello to your neighbor or something, and let's see if we can't put together the right pieces to make life better for everyone. That's the key. Rich, poor, yellow, white, green, tall, small, I don't care. If you live in Carrollton or wherever you live, we got to figure out a way to live together. We got to figure out a way to use our technology to make our life better, not just make a buck off of it. And these things are just not happening now. We don't seem to be on that track. And so I'm going to definitely run for city council, and we're going to be trying to broadcast some political debates globally on the World Wide Web and locally, of course, on cable access.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that. My opponent and I have not often agreed on much, and I think that, I don't have no disrespect for him. I just think that in general we have certainly different outlooks on how life could be in the government. My opinion is it needs to be open. There needs to be more two-way communication. And this is not just a con. This has to be something that can be measured. We have to figure out ways to do this to get people involved.
I think the people should be able to know what's going on at City Hall. I mean, do you ever know what your city manager's doing? I mean, is there anybody out there in America that knows,
Well, you can ask, a test of that is I can ask people wherever you live, do you know where your nearest McDonald's is? In your mind, you might think and picture one. Now I'll ask you, no matter what country you're in, do you know where your city hall is? I think most people won't even know, and I haven't most of my life, I've never been to a city council meeting until just a few years ago, and that's just the standard kind of the way. But I'll say to you that quite often the government kind of makes it go that way. They kind of have it set up where not everybody kind of gets the chance. Look at City Hall. It only holds 100 people or something like that. There's 97,000 people here. And until we started putting the city council meetings on TV, nobody ever saw them. It was impossible. How was 97,000 people going to fit into that place? So, they've never just had that kind of mentality of using communications, and it's got to change. And so I'm looking forward to debating my opponent for Carrollton City Council. I think that if, and I say if because it really would surprise me if he did, if he decides to, debate us publicly and try to discuss some of these issues, I really hope that he has some good ideas and people can pick and choose really what direction they want to go.
And I think your idea about open communications in the government, it's important to note that, personal and honest communication as well. And a lot of times we found barriers. You literally get to a meeting and they just flat out won't answer your questions past the point, and it just makes you wonder. We ask them to define editorial control, The city representative will tell you, well, we're sure that your show hasn't been censored. We've looked at all the evidence, but then when you ask them to define editorial controls, like, no comment. Yeah.
Well, I've just learned, that's the whole issue again. I've just learned, dealing with the city, with my show being censored, that, again, I'll say it, man, I know it, feel it in my heart, they are either incapable or unwilling to deal with the average day-to-day citizen and our problems of life and all that, and generally more interested in chasing the big corporations and the big bucks, saying that they're helping us all by doing that, than they are trying to deal with us. They're not into that. And so I see a day when, for instance, we use our technology, we have direct voting, we have an opportunity for real people to be heard, one voice, one vote. And if you're like over 18, that seems like a logical kind of a restriction, but other than that, you get to vote. And all you have to have is like a social security number or some other type of ID PIN number like you would or a teller machine would have, and you can vote from anywhere in the world and just log in on the internet to your hometown, and they have you there as you have to kind of register with your hometown as at least your driver's license and nothing else.
Right, because everybody has a social security number already, so just attach a PIN number to that, and the computer can verify that you don't double vote.
Right, yeah. Because if somebody types in a number later, it would come up and there would be conflict, and they would have to get it straight. It wouldn't count two votes. And those kind of things, there are ways to work around it. Certainly if we can have a teller machine give us money out on a stranger street, on a corner in the neighborhood you ain't been to, I can figure out a way to allow you to vote and make it as best you can, straight,
why not place voting booths right next to the lottery machine and teller machine, you can vote every day.
Yeah. Well, I really see a day in the future where, public opinion surveys, if we could actually start taking those in a scientific way and making that evidence known, that's like the first step to direct democracy. Because if you knew, like in Carrollton, you can't smoke cigarettes, you can't smoke anything, can't smoke in Carrollton, and you can't drink. And I don't really care much about alcohol, but it just seemed always to me that it should be like a majority thing, and that the government has a tendency to step in and impose some moralistic issues that are from a vocal minority, than really to look at what the majority of people in the city wanted. And some people say it's bad because the whims of the populace, but hey, come on, man. Some things got to change. Apparently, this structure ain't working. It seems like let people decide. And
it's just as a point, the government has to give people responsibility for our own lives. I mean, if we can be expected to pay our own bills and, have our own job and everything else and have responsibility, then we should be able to have responsibility to vote. I mean, how many people out there even read NAFTA or even knew what NAFTA was all about, But your government just, they sail that thing right through Congress, oh, we want that,
Yeah,
who knows what the American people thought?
I saw, just before the vote on NAFTA, I was watching the news and they were just showing all these stories about how at the last moment there were a few holdout politicians and the president was on the line with them to sweeten the deal and to talk them into it and see if they can do. And it always just seems like such a theatrical play that gets played out for their benefit, and the masses like ourselves that they're just deciding for just kind of watch, and we just hope everything works out. And I'm still not trying to down that. I'm saying, okay, that worked. Okay, that was the past. That's my father's generation generally, and democracy as a representative style did work for some time, but now the average person is more educated. The average person has more opportunity and technology available to them than somebody 100 years ago. Things have changed, and now we need to alleviate some of that tension in government and the stress between the people in government by opening the lines of communication, establishing some real opportunities for people to have some control of their own life. That you're going to live somewhere and that this society is not going to make a criminal out of you. And there's so many opportunities for that already, where just average people somehow, everything from your inspection sticker not registered to what you smoke or all this stuff that you just walk around all the time, hope you don't go to jail for. And that in a world that has a direct democracy, there will never be a perfect world, but generally, as long as you don't hurt nobody, it just seems like you ought to be able to do what you want with your own life. And who knows, maybe that'll be a better world to live in. So, we're going to roll on with some music here. What do you got coming up next?
Next is The Storm.
All right.
This is from my new single that I just released.
And you got this on your webpage, right?
Right.
Hey, could you try to give that web page address one more time?
One more time?
Yeah.
All right, it is http://rworld.compuserve.com/homepages/_Kev. And that's a capital K on the Kev. And Our World is OURWORLD. So.
And of course, for the hometown, we've got the uontv.com/hometown. Just don't forget the dashes between the U on TV. But so, folks, you want to start thinking about the internet. You want to start thinking about communications and how your world is changing around you, and how we need as a people to come together and use this technology to make the place a better place for all of us. That's the bottom line. So right now we're going to listen to some music, and we'll be back with some more comments about the world at large and how to communicate in the 21st century. I'm Michael Goetz, your host of the Hometown, our global radio show, and Kevin Bennett is our co-producer / music man / sidekick. What the heck would you call him?
All-encompassing everything.
The Almighty. All right. All right, stay tuned. We'll be back.
Thank you. Hometown Global Radio #1. And watch out for that anomaly.
Global One, I'm Michael Goetz. You're watching The Hometown, or listening to it, I guess you would say.
We're back.
I'm Michael Goetz, and this is Kevin Bennett with me. You know, my sidekick, been helping us out with the show for a long time. That was your music. What was that we just listened to? What was that?
That was called Kevin's Candelabra Dream.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Kind of a long name.
We're going to use this in the next show, the government survey. I've been working on it for eons. I mean, how long?
Goodness.
Anybody that knows me knows I've been working. I guess November '95 was like the last regular, unless it was just a re-edit, the regular show we did, the U on TV.
And our sponsors, you know, they've been hanging on patiently. Thank goodness, Joe's Pizza. You know,
yeah. You know, for those folks out there, you know, that have been watching the show, I do appreciate it, and I know it's been going on for years, and I know that some people at City Hall are worn out in the cable company and all, but, you know, I wanted to take this time and try to let y'all really know what, you know, really has been going on behind the scenes, and, you know, the show The Hometown, you know, I started it in February '92, and it was just a half-hour weekly show, and I had this idea, sitting around the table with a buddy of mine, Randy Edwards, that we should be seeing local television. You should be able to see our high school football games and city council meetings and all that. You only see things you don't recognize on TV, you know, out of town, unless somebody got shot there or something. And
all those local channels are available, you know, leased access, government access, educational access. Yeah. You know, those could be used for such a variety of local things. Yeah,
and we basically started this show and started trying to go around putting charities and schools on and trying to use these channels. And we ran head into real problems with TCI Cable and the city of Carrollton, Texas, my hometown. And it just really seems like these folks are either breaking the law or they're just really totally incompetent. So you choose. I got my own opinion, but which, I mean, I guess all of this is my opinion, but the idea is things need to change. And our own government is really sitting in a position where they're generally turn out to be most people's worst enemy. And just average people willing to work hard and tell the truth being run to the ground by the people we're giving our tax dollars to. You know, it just don't make sense, right? So I'm not a violent person, never have been. The idea is that we need to figure out ways to change and make life better for everybody. And if we provide some of the basic elements of life, figure out a way to do that, maybe with this municipally owned fiber optic network, that's our platform for running for council, and we get this thing going and don't use any tax dollars and still be able to generate millions of dollars of revenue to take care of our citizens and make sure that people get to follow their dreams. So we're really working hard on that, and you should understand that the folks listening to this, you're really a big part of that, maybe the biggest part of that, and I'm hoping that folks will end up doing their own shows and getting on the internet, on a web page, broadcasting on a web page. It's just like having a TV station, for God's sake. It's an amazing time.
And we have seen it happen. You know, it blossomed. I mean, you know, it seemed to start when we got our show on and got a lot of airtime, and then, you know, a lot more people started to see it all the time, prime time and during the late hours, and, you know.
Yeah, because, I mean, we were on 4 times a day, 7 days a week on TCI Cable, as we are on Heron Cable. And then last year I called, or 2 years ago now, I called for a boycott of TCI Cable after years of relentless, what I believe to be censorship or just hundreds of technical difficulties is what they call them. But a couple of times outright pulled off the air, you know, and I think that they've really driven my family in the ground and fought us real hard, like they do a lot of people that try to use public access TV. And our government has just totally let me down. Our city hall, they just, when I met with them last, I just kept feeling like, with all of these degrees and all this revenue and all these big buildings and offices and secretaries and fax machines, and they cannot handle the simplest, smallest problem that a Haagen-Dazs night manager could take care of, but the city manager and mayor and council of the city can't do much about. Something's just crazy, you know.
I mean, the fact that your show was censored for 3 months and then they don't even, you know, nothing's been done for any retribution for that.
Right, that was in June '93 when we first did our show was on the air for almost a year, and we were having daily problems, it seemed like, just keeping it on the air, technical difficulties, and me going to the council and trying to explain that, you know, the FCC says that they are the ones that have to do something. Cable companies are either not wanting to or not willing to, whatever, doing this public access, and they were killing me, you know. I mean, I worked my rear end off to go out and put people on TV, do what I love doing, help my city communicate, just to watch the thing go down the tubes, you know, when the cable company just screws it up, you know.
I mean, according to their own rules of use, they were supposed to make up the airtime, and it's never been made up. And we've made that clear to City Hall. And they're just like, they're not going to address any past issues.
Yeah.
But we're trying to say, well, it's only the past because you failed to address it all these years. I mean, we brought it to you the first day it happened and told you, and you didn't take care of the problem then.
I mean, for those folks who don't understand, just the idea is that we've been fighting the cable company so long. Right now, the city starts saying that that's all in the past, and we're going, no, it's the current. We've been going through it. You have never solved it. It's not the past. It's still going on, and we've just had a number of times where we've had round and round trying to keep our show on. But, that is what has motivated me to get out here to try to use the internet and public access in my hometown to try to teach people how to communicate. Because I'm telling you, if, they used to say you can't fight City Hall, but now, if you can tell the truth to the biggest number of people, you got a chance. And with these public access channels and the internet broadcasting from your webpage, it's dirt cheap, free, basically damn near close. And there's some places now that are offering public access, like we're doing with DFW Multimedia and free public access and stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity, and you have to get out there. You have to learn. You have to use this technology, like when the toaster was first invented or when the fax machine was first invented, and it was often not maybe seen in the best light at the beginning, so people understood it and realized how it could change their life, and seemed silly not to use tools to make it.
And of course, we're going full steam ahead trying to get video on the web and trying to get the show going.
That's coming up, right? Right now, we're doing the radio-only version, just because technically, video is still pretty hard for most people to be able to watch on the internet. And we wanted to just allow people the chance to hear what we had to say and the things we got going. And we're slowly working on, you should be able soon to go to thehometown.org to be able to watch the show and past highlights and such, and maybe even live. So that's the revolution that's going on. If you have a web page and you can hook up a camera to it or put some microphones to your computer and leave files on your web page, video, audio, you're basically broadcasting like a television station. And now that TV and computers are coming together, it's just an amazing time. And I'm looking forward to using it. I hope a lot of other people do. And that's why we're out here trying to talk to you, trying to explain to you what we've gone through, giving you an opportunity to learn and, use your ideas and what you want to do and your dreams, as your guide. And we end up communicating, and maybe life will be better for everybody. Who knows?
It's getting amazing these days. I mean, any problem that you want to solve or any subject that you want to look up, just get on a search engine, like Yahoo or Excite or Webcrawler, and there's some browsers. There's some that'll search like multiple search engines at once, and you can find just about any subject and then find links from there. It's just a world of information, it's a library.
And I know a lot of people are still looking at this and wondering when it comes to this new technology and communications and stuff, like it's just a fad or it's just not for me or whatever. And that's cool, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like everybody's got to have it. Like with that municipally owned fiber optic network, people can turn it down. They don't got to have it. We're not trying to be Big Brother and work, our way into people's lives. That's a whole issue that I have fought for a while against, It's important for government to be open. It's important for them to be able to let us know what they're doing and for them to hear for what we do. But they have personal lives, too. They have the right to do what they want in their own time as long as they ain't bothering nobody, just like everybody else. So we have a line there. But generally, times are changing, and we need to use this technology. And folks need to understand how to make videotape and audio files and find audiences for them. And that's what we're talking about. Public access TV is a great one with your cable company. Make a non-commercial video, deliver it to your cable company. They'll play it on that channel. If they don't, call us. We'll help you out as best we can. Then also, you got the internet. Everybody get connected up. The web page, I'm hoping to run for council. I'm running for council, hoping to be able to hook everybody up on the internet here in my hometown of Carrollton as part of that fiber optic network we lay in, give free internet access. And it would be easily paid for if we were charging cable companies that might normally put their money into the infrastructure, be able to pay fees to be renting the space on the lines. We would easily raise a lot of revenue that we could keep in our community, run it by a nonprofit organization, and make sure that our citizens have a place to go if they have problems, have a hospital basically, they're part of a community. And use our electronic media as electronic town hall meetings, direct democracy, and different ways to really start drawing the government out in the open and letting us see what they're doing and where our money's going, trimming away the budgets that don't need to be there, that are extravagant, and what is good.
I think TCI is working on that contract, aren't they, to do the fiber optics, to lay that in?
A few people are, yeah. I know that.
Somebody's going to do it,
Well, yeah, I know when I ran for mayor, Mayor Gravely, that did win, he had said that, well, since nobody apparently has done it yet, a lot of people have talked about it, but his opinion was, from my idea, was that since nobody else had done it, I guess it can't be done. And if it was able to be done, how come they ain't done it? And my response was, because I'm looking at it for a different reason. I don't say for sure that we'll make millions of billions of dollars. I say for sure that we can do something that will help our community. We can do something that will make a difference in the lives of the people. It may not equate on some bottom line dollar figure somewhere in somebody's calculations, but I know it'll make life different and make it better. And I think that it needs to be done. So that's why I would do it, where Mayor Gravely and his associates that he was, I guess, talking about, I don't know, the cable companies and different people that might be, TV, radio, phone companies that might be building fiber optics, they apparently don't want to have it done here in Carrollton. I've seen some work done, but I don't really hear that much about it.
Yeah, people around the world may be interested in knowing about the recall we had here in Carrollton. It was pretty interesting, It showed that the people could make a difference, and that if you're really not happy with your government, there's things you can do, there's measures. And there was a recall provision built in at Carrollton City Hall.
Yeah. Well, that just goes back, for us in the show, this last year has been just unbelievable. Our last show we really did was November 95, and that's when my family, my wife and baby and I lost our last apartment, and I sent her and baby to be with her sister down in San Antonio, and I've been just kind of in between or whatever, and sometimes over at the park in Old Blue, my truck. But generally, I'm just dedicated to trying to bring these ideas out. I grew up in Carrollton, and I just feel like somebody needs to do these things. And I have some good ideas that I want to just be able to try to put out there and give people a chance to think about. So that's why I persist. And I'm really annoyed by the fact that TCI Cable and the city of Carrollton have, and through act or omission, have basically, made me look bad, my family name. And I have two sons, and I know that we're a good family, and we tell the truth and help people when we can. I've done a good show. I know mass media law. I understand television and communications, and the fact that the cable company keeps using this issue of copyright, for instance, as a reason for pulling my show off, just is, killing us. And, we kept debating them, and I guess we did pretty good on that, but it didn't seem to make any difference, and they were able to just kind of fight this issue out and keep us off the air. So it's unfortunate, but things are changing, and this communications network is the way. That recall that you're talking about, Carrollton City Council, the only person that wasn't recalled was a guy that I lost to when I ran for City Council the first time, Bob Doverstein. And so that was kind of cool. But generally, everybody else, including the mayor and the city manager, was gone, and we started all over. And some people say that some of that was as a direct result of our show, that over the years of us doing the investigative reports from the city of Carrollton, of us giving people a chance to speak, we stirred things up. And just took a spark like the I-35 cleanup problem or whatever to get people in motion. And of course, that is kind of traditional in life when you have suppressors and you have governments out of control and you have people that are suffering and then working their rear end off and paying so many taxes. It's unbelievable. You get taxed when you spend it, you get taxed when you get it, you get taxed when you still don't get nothing.
Back to the diamond mines.
Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing story. The diamond mines, that's true. What do you remember about that story? I know I've told it before. Do you?
I don't know. Something about in Africa, they were doing fine just working off the land, in their agrarian lifestyle, but then the government decided they wanted this diamond mine, but nobody had any reason to work there. They really didn't need money, so the government just imposed a tax so that they would they'd have a reason to work, and so they had to go to this diamond mine and work there just to pay the tax,
Yeah, and although they obviously were working every day, in their day-to-day life of hunting and planning and gathering or whatever, so that was work, but it became a different kind of work. It had to be money work. It had to be money. It had to be something that you paid your rent with. And once they moved in and imposed taxes, we're talking again about a story I saw on PBS, for God's sake. I mean, it's got to be somewhere true, a little bit. I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm just assuming. But in this case, it just seems like an obvious situation that could apply to America. And capitalism, in a lot of ways, is good. It allows people to be entrepreneurs, which I think is a major part of life that we need to be able to kind of rebuild, support our entrepreneurs. Generally allow people to follow their dreams and don't be afraid to get out there and do your thing. But I don't think it's ever going to happen if we continue to live in a society where the government's big friend is usually big corrupt business, and everybody else just kind of works their rear end off at $5 an hour jobs, still can't pay the rent, working 40, 68 hours a week. It's just unbelievable.
It just seems like the government is a big money-making machine. They spend, I heard some report that said the president spends almost 1/3 of his time raising funds, and those funds aren't really even for the American people. They just go to the Democratic Party. And who are they? Just some elite group, or is this really benefiting the country? And then just the way they tweak, everything they can for money. And just look at the lottery. If you win a $3 million lottery, you get, you end up maybe getting $1.3 million out of it after all said and done, because the government has to take all these taxes out. And that's money that you've already put in that's already been taxed when you earned it, and the tax cycle just keeps going over and over again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I tell you, the monetary system is amazing when you think about it. It's creating wealth out of nothing, and quite often in America especially, there are a few that seem to benefit more from the sweat and brow of the masses than others. And it wouldn't be so bad. There's nothing wrong with people working hard and doing well. But there has to be some safety net, and the federal government has, in my mind, probably correctly so, downsized and let go of some of these responsibilities. But I know that it still needs to happen. And so we've been trying to put together ideas and try to find ways to generate resources and revenues for my hometown of Carrollton, Texas. And I think building a municipally owned fiber optic network and hooking up all of our buildings with kind of an electronic roadway and giving it free to our local citizens and public service, schools, charities, and that, and then charging cable companies and other pay-per-view events, and using a nonprofit organization to funnel that to our schools and our churches, and just generally use it for our community, and our hospitals and all that. But we'll see, I don't know. But generally, we've got about 15 minutes left in our first show. It is a 2-hour show, and it's our first time on the World Wide Web. We're happy to have that opportunity. And I want to tell you a couple of folks that I got to thank, because these people have stuck by us. There's a couple places around here that have helped us out in this last year. Joe's Pizza and Ruth's Airport, locally owned places. I know the owners. And the best thing about these folks, they do sponsor our show, or they did last year, and we just, had a hell of a time trying to keep the show on the air and trying to get it out. And we've never really come through and helped them out, I think, as much as they've helped us. And I just wanted to say I appreciate them. It's just truly a good thing in your hometown when, people help each other out. And generally, we've been fighting this battle and trying to get people the right to communicate. And it's a drag to think that there's no homeless shelter and that you can go home hungry in your own hometown, and being totally willing to work hard and trying to tell the truth. It just don't seem right. So these folks have stuck by us and helped out on the show. And we've had other folks that helped us, at Vaughn. They've been making a lot of cool copies for us. But, we're taking that to the internet now, so that's going to be pretty cool. But in Nature's Gallery, that's cool. We did rock stories. That was really neat. And, we had some other folks that were with us for a while. And,
Spy Factory.
Yeah, Spy Factory's cool. And we're going to do some more segments, I hope, with them. They provide a lot of cool kind of things in this day and age. You have to also learn the rights and responsibilities of all this electronic media technology. So we'll just have to see how things go. But anyway,
you want to give them another tune or before they go?
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
Before our big ending?
Yeah.
The big finale.
And then afterwards, our natural close is Ray Charles, America, which is pretty cool. It says it all.
So for people that didn't know it, that first segment was a snippet from our show, and actually, the opener.
Right.
That featured a lot of little video snippets as well, but you can only hear the sound, of course.
Right. And coming soon will be video on our webpage. We're working on that immediately, and so thehometown.org should be that location. You can find it at uontv.com. I think we're going to have an opportunity to give people a chance to communicate like never before. And I want to use this technology to try to help folks, and that's why we're here. So please stay tuned. Watch us on the World Wide Web or listen to us right at the moment, and video coming soon. Watch us. We want to tell Heron Cable, man, they're cool. Good cable company. They've been really cool. Helped us out. Just done their job. Charlie down there has done a good thing. Say hello to him if you're in that area. And I guess
all you got to do is walk down there and give them the tape, and they sign it up.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be, man. I mean, the basic laws of public access is basically that the person that signs up the show is responsible for the content, for the show itself. So, and when you go in there and you sign up a show, if it's non-commercial and you can stand behind it as the truth, they shouldn't be able to turn you away if it's in their franchise agreement. And most of them have it that way. And just unfortunately, the city governments just don't push it. And I think it's time for the city governments to change. I think it's time to open government up, to establish a real democracy, to make sure that people's voices do get to be heard, and to try to get more people involved. And using this communications technology is a great way to generate revenues, to fix our streets, to allow our kids a better school, getting everybody hooked up on the internet. These are all things we can do without tax dollars. And I don't know about my opponent, but generally, I just think that not many people at City Hall really have this kind of vision, and that's why I'm out here trying to talk to people and tell them what I think, so that they can make an educated decision. So I urge you folks to get out and get involved in your community and get registered to vote. You have to be there 30 days prior to the election, and no matter where you live around the world, I hope things are going well for you. I hope that you live in a good community. I hope that you are happy. I hope that you have the freedom to follow your dreams. I hope that you are enjoying it. And I can tell you that here in Carrollton, life ain't that bad. We've been through some hell and back, but I just still think that days will be better. And it's slowly coming about, the change, the technology. We as a society need to understand our responsibilities and how do we get involved, understand what's going on, and get out there and vote and let your voice be heard. And I look forward to hearing from other folks. So right now we're going to listen to, I guess, a little bit more music from Kevin.
Right.
What is it you got here?
Ready for it?
Yeah.
I think we ought to do Groovy here. It's a pretty popular tune. It's kind of
right. Preston does drums on that.
Kind of a foot tapper, right? Preston Hunt. So.
All right, that sounds pretty cool. So stay tuned. We'll be back with a close for the evening and our final song of the night with Ray Charles in America. I'm Michael Goetz. You're watching our show, The Hometown, here in Carrollton and around the world. Okay, everyone, this brings us pretty much to the close of our first ever global radio television show.
We're at it.
Yeah, we're finally going to be able to wrap it up. We've been working on this show for some time, and we're happy to say that it's finally going to be heard around the world. And for those folks watching us here in Carrollton, we want to tell you we appreciate your support for all these years that we've had folks in here trying to help out our show, and pay attention to what's going on, and talk to your local politician friends and make sure that they do what you think's right. And let's see if we can't use our communications technology to make this place a better place. So I'm Michael Lee Goetz Sr., and I'm executive producer of The Hometown, and I'm here with Kevin Bennett, one of our co-producers. Any final words, Kevin?
Well, just want to say hi to the world, and we'll be seeing you again soon, and hopefully we'll do more of these awesome shows. They're just so entertaining, It's the Hometown Global Radio, and especially those little promos in between, the station identification. And we're glad that Patrick Stewart dropped by. That really made our day,
Yeah, okay, man. All right, then. Well, you folks at home, I encourage you to do your own public access TV show and get your own webpage and start trying to communicate and, learn about the things going on around you. And hopefully someday we'll have direct democracy. We'll be able to have a fiber optic network that we can use to raise funds for the city to take care of our people and provide services that we all need. I think it's going to be a great time to be alive. I encourage everybody to get involved. Please vote, register, and let your voice be heard. You got our phone number is 214-913-1562 if you're calling in the United States. From around the world, of course, you got to dial the USA country code. And if you want to see us on the webpage, we're at www.you-on-tv.com/hometown. We hope to be having some political debates coming up soon for my opponent and I or whoever else is involved to get up here and tell us what we're going to do with your life. And that seems to be an element missing in government nowadays. You don't know what they're doing or what they're up to anytime, huh? But things have changed. Cool. Well, I want to thank you, Kevin, for being my guest on the first ever global radio network thing. And
glad to do it.
The music was pretty cool. And keep that up, doing your own music and stuff. I'm looking forward to it. And anything else?
I guess we've wrapped it up.
Famous last words.
It's looking good,
Look forward to seeing everybody else and hearing from you. Please stay in touch and get out and vote and get to know your hometown. Go call your mom, for God's sakes, get to know your neighbors. Anything. I'm Michael E. Goetz Sr., executive producer of the show, and from Kevin Bennett and me, and downtown Carrollton, Texas, just north of Josie and Beltline, I'm going to say goodnight.
Good night.
I'm telling you, man, I think there's a lot of people out there that's had enough of it. You guys are all up here, and it doesn't seem like anything gets done.
Each time has been.
Not available is my problem. That's what I'm saying. The city government's not available. Now, why hasn't anybody done it? Why did it take me to come up here and tell everybody what their rights were? Why didn't y'all do it? And then after I told you for almost 2 years, why didn't you do something instead of giving me all this rhetoric and no action? Public access TV is the right of the people. This every community in America. Guaranteed by law. You have. I grew up here, man. Did you come from here? I grew up here. I know this place.
That doesn't make you
somehow... I think so. I think I love this town. And you work here.
I love this town, too.
Thank you. See you later. Free time.
In liberation.